Hello, my name is John Erie. I'm a shareholder and member of the Family Law Department at Stark & Stark. And this is the first of a series of discussions with experts in divorce and matrimonial cases. And my guest today is Rob Klieger. Rob is the managing director of the Intelligence Group. They're an investigations firm in Bedminster, New Jersey. Rob's expertise is in digital forensic investigations. Rob helps attorneys identify digital information that may be sought in a matrimonial dispute, extract the information, and put it in a usable format for purposes of settlement or divorce litigation if necessary. I have found in my practice that the pace of technology has outpaced the law on many occasions. For example, electronically stored information by a divorcing party and the issues of how to access such material is critical. The do's and don'ts involved. Rob, I use the term digital forensic investigation. What does that mean?
I often refer to that as a digital autopsy. It's commonly known as computer forensics or cyber forensics. It's simply a process of gathering electronic information in a scientific practice so that everything is done in a way that can stand up in court in order to solve any type of civil or criminal legal matter. We often find information pertaining to the who, when, what, how, and why electronic information was used on a computerized device.
Well, on what types of digital devices can this digital forensic investigation be performed?
Commonly, it would be a computer hard drive, a desktop, a laptop. We're seeing USB thumb drives, today's digital cameras, your PDAs, your cell phones, your iPods, all types of electronic media. One of the things that we're seeing a little bit more of a growth area is the digital copy devices and fax machines, which are often scanning information in as well into that computer system. So it's really any type of computerized device that could be connected or inserted into a computer.
And good intentions of people aside, what information can a digital forensic investigation provide that a technical person or a lay person cannot provide?
It's a great question. Many times when it comes to a technical person or a lay person, one of the things that they are commonly looking for is the active data, the data that is accessible on their computer. If they don't have forensic capabilities, either software or hardware, they are not able to get to the deleted or the inaccessible area of the hard drive, whereby a forensic investigation, it is an investigation, and by using these tools, it is somewhat not only a scientific method, but it's the art form and the experience to pull out and extract that deleted or hidden information that may be looking for to support a legal case.
In your experience, what common mistakes or issues have you found or faced pertaining to these digital investigations?
Most often it depends on whether it's a covert situation where we've gone into a home or a business and imaged the hard drive there, or it was turned over based upon a court order through a subpoena. Most commonly, we're finding that we are seeing the files that were deleted or last accessed prior to an incident turning over that computer, or usually it's the defragging of a computer. Sometimes we're seeing information has been wiped through the use of a wiping program or an anti-forensics program. So we really could look across the entire hard drive and see all the activities that have occurred to then isolate what were the things that were going on during specific days or times prior to us being involved to image the hard drive.
When would a lawyer or his or her client know when to engage a digital forensic expert?
Well, hopefully after listening or watching this footage, but certainly when a client comes into an office and speaks to their attorney about their potential matter, more often we're getting involved during that process immediately thereafter and sometimes even before to help identify what is the best way and chain of events so that none of the issues will go ahead and have an impact on their case. So, oftentimes it's just having a conversation so that I can assist identification of what we can or maybe cannot help in relationship to that specific matter.
But sooner the better is the way to go.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Now, what are the typical steps involved in this digital forensic investigation?
Well, like most shows that you've seen on TV, CSI, Criminal Minds, when they arrive on scene, and they're wearing latex gloves, they're doing so in order to protect that scene. In essence, it's the same thing that would happen when you perform a digital investigation. I often consider there's 5 steps. The first step is called the acquisition step. And there's 2 types. Sometimes it's a logical copy whereby you're capturing only the accessible data off of that hard drive. By doing so in a non-forensic way, it may have an impact of changing and altering date information, when a file was created, by whom, when it was last accessed. Often a data about data is referred to as metadata, and that's the type of information that I'm talking of. The second type is obviously the digital forensic acquisition, which is a bit-by-bit, sector-by-sector copy. And in essence, by having certain software and hardware, what we're doing is we're protecting the original device through our means that's writing all of that original information onto our hard drive. Right. Therefore, once it is copied and verified, the courts will accept that as the original evidence. And that happens through the next step called authentication. And the authentication in the forensics field is often referred to as a hash, commonly an MD5 or a SHA-1 hash. Ultimately, it's a DNA fingerprint. So once we acquire the information electronically, we then go ahead and we hash so that we have a DNA fingerprint, which at that point is where the courts would accept our duplicate copy as if it was the original.
Right.
And the last 3 stages would be the analysis stage, whereby we would look for keywords, we would look to recover deleted files and folders, we create web pages, emails, and the like. And then we would document our findings and interpret it so that the attorneys would understand it or lay people would understand it. And then, if necessary, in support, either for expert testimony, we would respond to certifications and affidavits accordingly.
Let's talk for a minute about this expert testimony. Again, you mentioned about mistakes earlier, of the fact that people might try to do something themselves. And why is it important that there be an expert testifying in a court?
Well, I guess there's a number of reasons why. For one, it comes down to the documentation and the chain of custody. Once we're involved, every step is basically recorded along the way. As far as the information that we provide, it's using all of the tools that the courts will accept. And again, we're looking at doing it because it is an investigation. And with our experience level of the people that work on our staff, we provide that information in a way that is unbiased. We've been court appointed as an expert before, and it is really not something that is just a technology related issue. It is truly an investigation.
And from my perspective, because if along that process, that chain of custody is interfered with, or if it hasn't gotten off to a correct start and you have to come back and try to correct something, then your job is more difficult and my job is more difficult, and ultimately the client's case perhaps cannot be proven with the measure of success that we want to achieve.
That is certainly a risk, which is why we try to get involved as early as possible to avoid those types of steps.
What size cases are applicable to a digital forensic investigation? I mean, sometimes people might think, well, I can't afford this. This is only for, very wealthy people or people who are have particular issues that they want to focus on. And I'm hearing you say today that there's a broad spectrum.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a common misconception that the digital forensic investigation is only used and applicable for the larger cases. And quite frankly, it's the opposite. Many times we're involved with a one hard drive case, and the narrow scope of the investigation is to find any of the deleted or hidden financial records or what websites may have been visited in a matrimonial dispute, to uncover assets per se or other business interests that may have occurred. And often, whether one spouse is cheating, or not. So it's specific where, that cost is not really significant. And again, it is something that is done in a way that is in proportion with, what the case is, and the merit of that case is about.
And that's something you would discuss with the client and the attorney in advance of getting started,
Absolutely,
correct?
yeah.
A two-part question. How do you charge for these investigations? And if you can, how much does a typical digital investigation cost?
Great. Well, we have a flat rate approach. Usually when it comes to the collection or the forensic acquisition, we do that at a flat rate. So when we've identified the digital devices, we will then go ahead and isolate a flat rate cost to do that in a forensically sound manner. The next phase, when it comes to the analysis, is done on an hourly rate. In certain cases, we are able to flat fee certain phases of the investigation, because once we've identified, or in essence isolated, the size of the haystack, we will know how much time it takes to extract those needles. So we can do certain things at a flat rate, if at all possible. But traditionally, it's on an average hourly rate.
In terms of a typical cost?
As far as a typical cost, that's a very common and frequently asked question.
And perhaps it's a little bit
It's all
asking you to say too much without knowing the facts
Yeah,
involved.
it all depends. Like any case, it's all fact sensitive. I would say that on average, we work off of a minimum retainer. Depending upon the type of case and my year's experience being involved in numerous cases, we try to control the process of first isolating what activities may have taken place. We can identify what files may have been deleted or certain trends that have occurred, and do that at a flat rate. I would say that on average, in order to get to that level of knowing what we know and knowing what we don't, you figure $2,500 for one hard drive to go ahead and gather that type of information. The disclaimer for everybody who's watching and listening is that, again, every case is fact sensitive, and it may vary according with respect to how a computer is used, and every computer is used absolutely differently with different information.
Well, I certainly know the value of your services, and I think I'm also hearing you say that in addition to the client, it's important that the attorney know how important it is for this information to be retrieved in today's legal world, that we're beyond simply the world of paper, and now we're into the world of digital and cyber, where these kind of investigations are going to be critical in presenting a case effectively. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's kind of a new frontier with the digital discovery, or e-discovery as it's commonly called.
Right. Okay. Well, let me ask you, Rob, if someone wanted to get a hold of you and contact you and discuss any more of this with you directly, how would they be able to do that?
You can go to our website. It's www.intell-group.com. My direct number is 908-396-1467.
Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for coming in today. It's
My pleasure.
learning experience for all concerned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.